Welcome everybody to this next session of AAC in the Cloud. This session is by Karen Owens, who does We Speak PODD, so I'm sure you're familiar with her. And this is going to be about implementing AAC at home and empowering parents. So we'll turn the time to Karen. Thank you.
Hi guys, thank you so much for having me. Thanks to Cough Drop for hosting this great conference. I have so much to cover today, so we are just going to jump right into it. So here's my agenda for today. First, I'd like to introduce you to my family. We're going to look at our shared beliefs that we must have before we can be successful, and I kind of call that our starting point, and these are our beliefs that I feel like what has made us successful. We're going to talk about what we needed, what we found, how did we get there, and then what were the rewards that we have seen thus far. So here's my beautiful family. My husband and I, Adam, as my husband, obviously, we live in Orlando, Florida. We have 6 wonderful children, and 5 of those kids have complex needs, some rather complex, more than others. This is my firstborn, Maddie. She is my beautiful 12-year-old tween girl. She's just about as typical of a 12-year-old as you can possibly get. She actually wrote her own bio here, so she loves her iPhone, watching YouTube, and making musical.ly videos. Next is our son, Gavin. Gabby died in 2009. He had an amazing 3 years of life. He was diagnosed with mitochondrial myopathy and eventually went into multi-organ failure. He had multiple medical needs as well as developmental needs. It was after Gavin's death that we decided we wanted to grow our family. We felt like Gavin left us behind this amazing gift, and that is that we could use our skills that he taught us to bring other children into our family and give them that same amazing life that we had with Gavin. Our first little one that came to our family was Miss Angela. Angela is 9 years old. She is our social butterfly. In the past, she's loved all-inclusive cheerleading, dancing. Angela is diagnosed with 1p36 deletion syndrome, spastic quad cerebral palsy, and significant cortical vision impairment. Next came home was our sweet boy, Jaden. Sadly, Jaden tragically died this past year. Jaden was a spunky, always moving, curious, happy little boy. He was just the life of this family. So active, so full of life. Jaden was diagnosed with a traumatic brain injury, cortical vision impairment. He had hearing loss, many significant sensory issues. Jaden, obviously he's not with us anymore, but he played and still plays such a huge role in our AAC journey and what we have learned and what we continue to learn. So he's a big part of this presentation still. Next, our man Saya came home. Saya is 11 years old. Saya is the observer of the house. He doesn't miss a beat. He also loves social interaction, particularly when people treat him like a normal 11-year-old boy. If you want to see a nasty face, treat him like a baby and he will give you one and he will never speak to you. Saya loves adventure. He's gone skiing, hiking, and he is a CrossFit guru. He loves to watch it and tell us when we're not doing things correctly. Saya lived 9 years in a residential nursing facility, which brings on its own challenges. He is diagnosed with spastic quad CP, neurofibromatosis, and holoprosencephaly. And our last one to come home is little Miss Harper. Harper is a sweet 5-year-old girl. She's very smart, very curious. Harper loves to perseverate on numbers and letters and little symbols. She's pretty intense. She's very quiet, much prefers to be left alone, not talked to, not touched, but she occasionally does peek out and smile. She's diagnosed with 15q duplication syndrome. She also has fetal alcohol syndrome, drug exposure, and mild hearing loss. And she also has a lot of sensory issues as well, different from Jaden, but she has her own sensory issues. And I also forgot to add before I continue on, just so you're aware, I make sure that my kids know exactly what I'm talking about if I'm talking about them. So last night we went through this presentation. They have seen parts of this presentation before, but we make sure that their bios are okay, that they're okay with the information we share, that the pictures are okay, that the videos are okay. So just want to put that out there. All right, so let's get to it. So everything in life has a starting point, absolutely everything. Of course, a positive starting point or foundation is going to lead to a positive journey or a positive outcome. This is me and my husband, Adam. I vividly remember our starting point. I so remember the first day I saw him. He wooed me, he pursued me. We had a good starting point. It was a positive foundation, and look where we're at now, 14 years later, and we still love each other more than ever. Adam and I are huge CrossFit people. We train 6 days a week, sometimes several times a day. We had a great starting point. We walked into our first CrossFit box, and people took us in. They believed in us, and we were not in shape. I certainly wasn't lifting heavy weights. I couldn't climb ropes. I couldn't run a 7-minute mile. But they continued to give us this awesome positive foundation, and it led to a positive outcome. Adam and I now are pretty good. We're getting there. So AAC is no different. If you want a positive outcome, you have to have a positive foundation. Now, with that said, at any point in your journey, you can always change your foundation. That's the beautiful thing about life and about the choices we make. We can choose what to believe. So maybe we haven't shared some of these beliefs, but at any time is a good time to change your beliefs. And everybody wants to know, what's our secret? How did we make this work? This right here, what I'm going to show you, these next 2 slides, I fully believe is the main reason for our huge success with teaching our children communication. And these are our core beliefs, our personal starting point for AAC. This is what we adopted into our heads was truth. And that is, communication is for everyone. No excuses, it's for everyone. Communication is a basic human right. It's how we form human connections. Us humans, we were meant to connect with each other. Think about one of the most severe punishments we can possibly give a prisoner, and that is, besides death, that would be complete isolation, because we know that at our core, we must have human connection to function. Everyone deserves a chance to learn. Absolutely everyone. Will everybody read novels? No, but they still deserve a chance to have the chance to gain that knowledge and to learn the information. We presume competence, that each child is capable of extraordinary things. This is a big one. Diagnosis does not determine potential. I can give you a long, long list of diagnoses that my children have been given, but I'm going to tell you right now, those diagnoses do not determine my children's potential. Our children were not sent to earth to be forever babies. No, no, no. To smile and to make us feel good. Nope, that is not what we believe. We can no longer speak for our children. We must set aside our own personal agendas, and we must empower people with complex needs. We gotta share these beliefs. This is so important. Listen to this. Without the belief that what may seem impossible can actually be possible, success is stopped before it ever has the chance to happen. So we gotta believe, we gotta hold on to hope that these kids can do amazing things. So we adopted those beliefs, and obviously once we started really holding fast to those and really believing those things in our heart, we began to see, oh crap, like we're really missing something in our family. Our kids are really, really missing out on something. And that was they needed a voice for sure. So we had to take a step back and figure out, what do we need? You know, we obviously knew that we needed an AAC system, but what system did we need? What makes a good AAC system? What did we need? Well, this is what we identified as what we needed. We needed a system that allowed my children to say whatever the heck they could possibly want to say. That includes questions, comments, jokes, ideas, refusing, requesting, so many things. I wanted them to be able to say it all. We needed a way to access a language system despite the many, many motor, sensory, and visual challenges my kids have. A lot of them have really significant, unique challenges. Saya, our big guy, he has no movement from the head down. Angela has a very limited motor. She can use her hands a bit to bat, but there's no pointing. That she can do. Jaden, while he could point, he had so many sensory issues that just made putting anything in front of him very, very difficult, that he wouldn't bat at and throw across the room. The same with Harper. She has good fine motor skills, but there was just some sensory and processing issues. Anyway, we needed a system that my kids could access, and I needed them all to be able to access it, because Lord knows I wasn't going to bring in 4 different AAC systems. That just wasn't going to work. We needed lots and lots of words, because our lives are really colorful and they simply cannot be limited to choose from a field of 4. No way. Been there, done that. It does not work. I want you to take a look at this picture that's up on your screen. This is I homeschool my children, and this is part of our weekly routine, and that would be predictable chart writing. And this week we were talking about my hair is, and then we were all writing what we wanted to fill those blanks in with. But I just want you to take a look at their answers. Saya, who's the guy in the back there wearing the blonde wig, Saya says, my hair is bright. Angela, who's not wearing a wig, decides to say, my hair is not different. Mom, I say my hair's messy. And Jaden, my boy Jaden, he says, my hair is a star. Who would have ever thought that he would have used the word star? But that's what he wanted, and it fit it, and it was perfect. It's what he wanted to say, completely autonomous. That's what it was all about. I needed my kids to be able to do that. And obviously this is after we found our system. All right, we needed a system that would not limit my children's voice. Again, allowing them to say whatever the heck they wanted to say. We needed a language organization that could allow them to focus on their message and not operational commands. High tech, it was really tough for my kids. Some of them use it now, but when you have a lot of sensory issues, even if you can use your finger, you have to remember that there are so many operational skills involved in simply touching an iPad. How hard do I touch? How long do I touch? How many fingers do I touch with? And many more things. All right, so what did we find? For our family, we found that PODD was able to meet all of those needs. PODD was developed in Australia by Gail Porter. It stands for Pragmatic Organization Dynamic Display. I am not a PODD trainer, so I'm not going to go into detail. You can go ahead and Google the heck out of that, and you can learn lots of stuff about the system. But anyway, PODD gave my children the words, the organization, and the access they needed to gain both receptive and expressive language. And the really cool thing about PODD is each of my kids could access the same language system in a very unique way that met their very unique individual needs. We have 2 of my kids can use direct access, meaning they can point with their finger either at a book or at a device. We have 2 that use partner-assisted auditory plus visual scanning. And then we have 1 using eye gaze. And the other awesome thing about this system is that it offered our family both a high-tech version and a light-tech version. You got to have both. If you're doing high tech, you have to have light tech, because iPads break, Tobii devices break, You leave your iPad on the roof of your car going down the highway 80 miles an hour and you lose it. Been there, done that. You're in situations in the sun where you can't see the screen. You always have to have a light tech backup because communication simply never stops. All right, there are so many great language systems available. As long as the system is robust, meaning it has tons and tons and tons of words and allows the user to say whatever the heck they could possibly want to say at any time they want to say and to whoever, it's all good. So, you know, I'm not total diehard PODD. It just really works for my family. All right, actually, let's back up one more. I think I'm doing good on time here. So I know I'm talking really fast, but I really want to make sure I can cover all this. I just want to give another example of why we needed a robust system, meaning lots of words, lots of things that my kids could say. Let's see, let's go back up here to this picture. You see Angela sitting in that red chair there, that wonderful red Rifton chair. One day we came home and we were getting ready to start school, and I put Angela in her chair. And then I think I went out to the kitchen, which is just the next room over. I think I was maybe feeding Jaden or something like that. And all of a sudden I heard this boom, and I forgot to do the one thigh strap on Angela's leg, and she slipped down out of her chair and she was kind of dangling on her chair. And she started to cry, and obviously she was very, very upset. And, you know, mommy was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I used her PODD. You know, I'm telling you something. It's about now, people in our family, mom, you know, quick chat, turn the page. I'm sorry. Mom is so sorry. And I'm like, Angela, are you hurt? Are you hurt? And I'm going through all these things that could possibly go wrong. And she had calmed down. I put her back in her chair and made sure she was completely strapped in. And she raised her hand, signaling that she had something to say. And she said, I'm telling you something. I think she said, I'm telling you something. It's about now, which goes to categories, feelings, surprised. She said, I was surprised. That's why I'm crying, because I was surprised. And again, this goes back to, I could not have predicted that Angela was going to say that. Yeah, I bet she was surprised. She wasn't expecting to fall out of her chair because mom didn't strap her in. So again, she had a language system that she could say very detailed and very descriptive things that she wanted to say, because if I only gave her a communication board with 4 options or 6 options, surprise may not have been on there, and she could have never communicated that message. So lots and lots of words. That's what we needed, and that's what PODD gave us. You can see how thick that book is. We have a ton of words. All right, so let's take a peek into our AAC journey. I absolutely love this quote. I say it occasionally to the kids. It says, you are valuable because you exist, not because of what you do, what you have done, but simply because you are. You know, we give our kids this tool, this tool for communication, not because we want them to perform, not because we want them to be compliant, not because we need to hear the things that we need to hear. We do it because, gosh, we want to celebrate along with them the amazing individuals they are. You know, we hold this belief that every human has purpose, and every human can make a meaningful contribution to society. This is why we do what we do. So unfortunately, because I don't have a lot of time with you guys, I can only show you 2 of the kids as far as giving you examples of how they use their system. I'm going to give you one of Angela, who uses partner-assisted auditory plus visual scanning, and then I'm going to show you Jaden, because he uses direct access, both light tech, and I'm also going to show you high tech. All right, so this is Angela. Angela has significant CP, limiting the ability to use her hands to access. She could never point to a book, and even fisting would not work because she's also significantly visually impaired. She has difficulty both looking and listening. So you'll notice in the clip that I'm going to show you here in a moment, she's mainly listening, but we still always offer her the book. because we want to give her vision the best chance possible. And we all know with CVI, it's constantly changing and developing, and some days are better than others. So we always offer her the book and the symbols to learn. We chose to swap out to high contrast symbols, again, just giving her vision the best chance possible. Angela can use a yes, no head nod. That's something we taught her when we first adopted her at age 2. So we're talking about, this is 6 years in the making, 7 years in the making of a yes, no head nod. Never give up, it's always possible. The other thing that we taught Angela to do is to initiate conversation. Angela will raise her hand or both hands to indicate that she has something to say, which would have me start scanning the book. Now, I just want to give you a glimpse of what her book looks like. This is Angela's front page. So what I'm going to do in this video is when I'm talking to Angela, or when Angela's talking and I'm scanning for her, sorry, I am scanning each of these columns. So I'm going to say quick chat, something's wrong, I think it's. If she were to choose something from this column, she would indicate yes with a head nod, and then I would scan each individual box. So that's what I'm doing. And in this clip, whoops, where did I get back to? Here we go. In this clip, Angela and I had just finished doing some writing in school. And yes, all of my kids are writing every single day. And I'm asking her what she wants to do after school. So take a look at this video. And you're going to see me using the system as well. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
We are finished school. What do you want to do? We are finished school. Would you like to answer me? Yes, thank you. Quick chat, something's wrong, I think it's. Yes, quick chat. Yes, quick chat. Me, you, hurry up. Uh-oh, stop, help. More, finished, let's do something else. Yes, more. More. Do you want to do more school? Angela, was more a mistake? No. Do you have another word? No. Is that all you have to say? Yes. You want to do more school? Oh my goodness. I think that is the most awesome answer I have ever heard. I saw you say no. You changed your mind. Do you need to tell me something else?
For the sake of time, I got to stop that. But you'll see she wiggled her head quickly no when I said that was awesome. She then goes on to say, she says, I want outside activity, playground, and then we go to the playground page and she says playground again. And then she says, I have another word, slide. And then I told her no, because I'm not going to the playground. So that's Angela. You can see that it obviously gives her words to say and access to say it, because I'm her smart partner flipping the book. So she has access to thousands of words, and she doesn't have to be able to touch a screen or touch a book. All right, so that's Angela. So this is Jaden. Jaden's the one on the iPad, and Saya is big brother looking very jealous over Jaden's shoulder because we had just gotten that brand new iPad. That's the 12-inch Pro for Jaden to begin working on high-tech pod because Jaden's visual impairment and some motor impairment, the big screen was just really, really nice for him. All right, so Jaden has significant vision and hearing. Jaden has a great ability to point. You see that in the picture right there. Though that skill was not fine-tuned prior to introducing PODD. It's amazing when kids get language, how much motivation they have to fine-tune all these other little skills. Jaden has many, many sensory issues that often distract him. He's your kid that's always moving, always twitching, always crossing fingers, always making noises with his trach, always poking his eyes, his ears. You name it, he does it. PODD, however, was the only tool we had for calming and focusing. Now, Jaden actually, we started him on high-tech PODD via an iPad, and man, we failed miserably. That thing was thrown across the room. Anytime we put it in front of him, he would just start pushing buttons and slapping his hand on it. He would hold it up to his ear like a boom box to stem off of the noise. He would put it up to his eyeball to see the bright screen. It was just a disaster. It was not working. So we took a step back and we introduced light tech PODD to him, and we really began modeling language patterns. And man, did this kid pick up the language patterns in a huge way, as you're going to see in this next video. And then amazing thing happened. About 9 months later, just 9 months, we gave him the iPad. Actually, he was using, he borrowed Saya's Tobii Dynavox eye gaze device. It was sitting on the floor because we were trialing it, and Jaden scooted his butt over to it and purposefully, quietly, gently used that device to say, I want sensory activity, swing. And he spoke his message from the message box. And from that moment on, we were like, wow, we got on the iPad, and he moved on. He added, I should say, high tech. So this is Jaden.
Let's do something else. Which one? Activities. To eat. No. It's not time to eat. More to say. I'm telling you something. Hi, Saya. We hear you. Days and times. Days and times. We can eat later. Later. Back to page 1. Later. Let's do something else. Turn the page. Something is wrong. Something's wrong. Turn the page. You're hungry.
Notice that Jaden just used a completely different way to say the same exact thing. Before he said, let's do something else, I want to eat. Now he said, let's do something else. I forgot exactly what he said, but then he said, something's wrong. He was hungry. Clever, huh?
You're so smart. You're hungry. You need to sit down in your chair. Yep, that's what we do to start eating. We sit in our chair. Back to page 1. More to say. I'm telling you something. It's going to happen. Days and times. Later. 2 hours later. Back to page 1. Let's do something else. Activities. Eat. No. Stop asking. No. Hug. You can have a hug. Oh. Hug. Hug. Jaden? What do you think? Thinking. Oh, he went back to main page.
I have an idea.
He has an idea. Actions. Say. Say. Back to main page. Oops, made a mistake.
I have an idea.
Have an idea. Try again. You hit places. You want to go somewhere for Saya's birthday?
He's being a funny guy.
Oh, made a mistake. Back to main page. That's clear. I have
an idea.
Activities. Turn the page. Get dressed. Thinking, thinking. Turn the page. Swimsuit. We should wear swimsuits. Make it speak. Make it speak. No, you do it on your own. Make it speak.
Get dressed, swimsuit.
Jaden says you should get dressed in a swimsuit for your birthday. Oh boy, back to main page. I think, Jaden, you are, turn the page, crazy.
You crazy.
You crazy.
All right, so that's Jaden, both high tech, light tech. You see, that's just amazing. Jaden had just gotten the system, so he's still learning and he's still babbling with it. So does he always want to hit what he wants to hit? I don't know, maybe, maybe not. But anything he hits, we take at face value and we go with it. All right, so you saw what the kids are doing. So how did we even get to this point? Oh my goodness, everyone always wants to know that. Well, I think it's pretty simple. We use a tool called aided language stimulation, modeling, aided language input. It's all kind of the same thing. You can look it up. You can look at the research. I'm not really going to go into that because that's not what I'm all about. What it is in order to teach it, you must speak it. So if you are teaching English, you must speak English. If you are teaching Spanish, you gotta speak Spanish. If you are teaching AAC, you must speak AAC. The awesome thing about this, this learning method, or whatever you want to call it, that it assumes that all kids learn language exactly the same. You know, when I remember when I first had Madison, they put Madison on my chest after she was born. What's the first thing that you say? Oh, you are so beautiful, little girl. I waited so long for you. You're beautiful. You're wonderful. I can't wait to see what happens, blah, blah, blah. You just start speaking all of these words, and we have no expectation that little baby Maddie at one minute old is going to start speaking back at us in that same language. And that's the same thing with teaching AAC. So this is a quick clip of what modeling looks like. You know, I feel like people just overthink this. Guys, all you have to do is just talk to your kids. You would talk to them anyway. So now you're just going to grab a book or grab a device and talk to them using the device. It doesn't have to be all the time, but it should be a good amount of the time. So this is Dad sitting on the couch with Angela, Jaden, and Saya's over there listening, and he is just going to talk in the natural context of our day. And I just happened to grab my phone to record it.
Guys, I got something to say, okay? More to say. I'm telling you something. It's about now. Activities. Make something. Make something. Ooh, hold on. Cooking.
All right, I'm going to stop that just because I'm getting tight on time here. He goes on to say cooking. Actually, he was going to go grill, and he said, I'm cooking something yummy. It's just modeling, just talking to the kids about what's happening. It's what we do all day long. Talk, talk, talk. All right, let's get back on track here. All right, here is the great news. You do not need to teach anything. You just need to talk to your child using the language system. We provide modeling of the system with absolutely no expectation on the child to use it expressively. There is no testing, no show me hug, show me sleep. Nope, none of that. We totally immerse the kids in their AAC language the same exact way we would if we were teaching a foreign language. We use it within the context of everyday life, the normal moments within each child's day. They get up, you get the pod. Good morning, quick chat, turn the page. I love you. I'm asking you a question. What do you want to do? Back to categories, days and times. Today, what do you want to do today? Just like that. The best learning takes place in everyday moments of life. It puts real meaning to words, authenticity. Activities, of course, are helpful at times, but aided language input is not a planned activity. It must happen outside therapy sessions, outside of school. It must happen in the context of everyday life. All right, this is the key, guys. Communication is a gift. It is not a task. When you look at communication in the form of a gift, this changes everything. Giving a child a voice is a gift that absolutely no price tag can possibly be put on. A week or so after Jaden had passed away, obviously, I had a ton of just grief and all kinds of things going through my head, and obviously my physical body was showing that. I sat down on the couch, and Angela was next to me, and she raises her hand to talk, and so I start scanning for her, and she says, "I'm asking a question. Are you okay?" I mean, come on, like no price tag can be put on that. This is allowing a child who once had absolutely no voice to give a gift back to me, and that is empathy. This is an amazing gift to give your kid. And then it's always important to remember that sometimes the best gifts take time to cultivate and create. This is not a quick fix. You know, there are so many ways to get what you want, but those ways only honor the listener and not the communicator. You know what, guys? If I want my kids to tell me that they love me, I could very easily give them a box of 4 choices, with one of those choices being, I love you. And you know what? I have a 1 out of 4 shot that they're gonna tell me that they love me. But that is not honoring the communicator whatsoever. That is purely only honoring me as the parent, and I certainly don't want that. All right, so what are the rewards of all of this? This is a huge one. You can avoid or undo the devastating effects of learned helplessness. So what is that? When people feel they have no control over a certain situation, or maybe their entire life, the individual will resist or overlook the opportunity for relief or change. So if a child has been conditioned to feel that his thoughts will never be valued, when actually given the chance to express them, the child may resist, most likely because they just don't even know what it means to have a voice. Man, I'm running so short on time here, but, you know, Saya living in a nursing facility for so long, you know, he had nurses coming in and out, and they were all amazing people, and I'm sure they loved him very much, but they simply could not give him a voice. And when Saya came home, we had a lot of really unique issues because he just didn't even know what it meant to have a choice, to have a voice, to have any sort of control. And that's just not something that you want to deal with. So if we can avoid these effects, we need to do that. When we give individuals complex needs language, it gives a sense of self-worth, a reason to fight, a reason to live, and a way to self-advocate. I mean, think about it, guys. They are less of a target for abuse. If all of a sudden a child can now report back to mom and dad on what has happened during their day, things change. This is so important. They will no longer be viewed or view themselves as spectators, but as participants in life. And that is what we want. Saya is now in his youth group at church, and he uses his eye gaze pod during that time. And he has all kinds of words on his device. And his favorite one right now is to say, that's lit. So you better believe, as the preacher is preaching, Saya is back there saying, That's lit. That's lit. That's lit. Preach. That's lit. That's his thing. And that is awesome because he is a participant and he is not just a spectator. And then I talked about this before, but of course it allows for human connection, and that is what this is all about. Guys, there is no better time to start than right now. There are absolutely no prerequisites for starting a robust AAC system. There is no reason to be able to say yes or no. You don't have to be able to hit a switch. You don't have to be able to point. All you need is an adult willing to model language. We do not wait for our typical developing babies to be ready before we immerse them in language. The time is now. Every single moment is a moment that we just cannot get back. I have this hanging in my house on the wall. It says, the most important work you will ever do will be within the walls of your own home. And obviously, last November, we certainly realized the importance of this quote. You know, it was really hot down here in Florida. And it just so happened that week that our air conditioner broke. And so we had some of our doors open. And you know, when Jaden started communicating, a lot of things happened. A lot of cognitive growth spurts, physical growth spurts, a lot of things were changing. And he was just so busy and just doing so many exploring things. And because of that, obviously we took all those precautions like alarms and GPS and all that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, November 28th, our precautions failed, and Jaden very tragically lost his life. You know, and after he was gone, we realized the importance of our work while he was still here with us. As the days passed and the immediate shock and grief lifted just a tiny bit, we began to think about, you know, kind of where he came from and where his life ended. And two things stuck out. Number one, he died a son. He was chosen, he was loved, and he was sought after. Number two, he died a communicator. We heard his voice, we heard his personality, and we heard his heart. And I am so freaking glad that we took that risk. Now, there's no sugarcoating it. I mean, guys, this is hard stuff. You know, we never allow our children to see their AA system as work. But we all know that this is tough. This is really tough stuff. And as a parent, as a professional, you're going to pour your blood, sweat, and tears into this journey. Here are the tips, okay? And these are super practical and super general, but these are so important. You got to take care of yourself, number one, because you can't take care of your children from an empty cup, okay? So fill your own cup so then you can overflow to your children. Number two, empower yourself to be the individual that you need to be. And lastly, rise up, take the lead, and choose to believe in the same way that we believe our kids are capable, that you also are capable of really, really big things. Now, I promise that I am here to connect with you. Feel free to find me on my Facebook page. All of our videos, we have hundreds and hundreds of videos available on YouTube. I'd love to chat with you. I am not a professional in any way. Gosh, I wish I was. I have absolutely no training. We don't have speech pathologists. We don't have teachers. We do this all on our own. But we do have this passion. And I am more than happy to hear your story and kind of direct you in the right direction that you need to be, or try to get you connected with people who maybe know a little more than I do. But yeah, so thank you so much for having me. We only have like a few minutes, but I'm happy to take a question or two if anybody has any.
Okay, so if anybody has a question, you're welcome to post those in the Slack chat line, and then we'll get these in to Karen so that she can address your questions.
And gosh, I wish I had more time. Man, I could go on for hours. So I apologize. I feel like I was talking like at the speed of light.
I think we could listen to you for hours. It's great to hear your story and to hear the ways that you've helped your children to be able to really grow and communicate. That's pretty empowering. All right, well, if there aren't any questions, then we will let Karen go. But Karen, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your story.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate that a lot. Feel free to post anything in Slack. You guys can ask questions. You can continue to ask questions in Slack. Or Karen, if you have resources you want to link to your YouTube channel or your email address, feel free to put those in there as well so that people can contact you.
Okay, wonderful.
Thanks, everyone, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you.